Fitness Pro Mentors community, welcome to another episode of the Fitness Pro Mentors podcast. Today is the Minds on Muscle show, and we are committed to helping you 2 to 3x your income as an in-person personal trainer. But today I am here with my wonderful co-host, Glen Owen, sitting at home. And look at these beautiful live streams we got going on here. Our backgrounds look sick. Glen, how are you doing today?
I'm good, my man. I'm in much better shape than I have been since the past week. I've been down at home with a little bit of illness, but I feel 110% better. I'm excited to return to work tomorrow. How are you doing though, pal? It's been a hot minute. I haven't seen you in over a week, which is very unusual.
Yeah, no, we usually spend a lot of time. I'm doing okay, man. Doing okay. It is the beginning of 2022. We've got some interesting stuff going in on Ontario, but at the end of the day, man, life is good. Kids are good. FPM's good. Strata's good. You're good. Taylor's good. Chris is good. I can't complain. Life's pretty good. Speaking of 2022, how are you feeling about it?
It's frustrating. For context, for people who listen to this in the past, we got locked down again at the very beginning of the month for the fifth time. For the fifth time, so Brandon put his hand up there, and it has been frustrating 5 times. But with all that in mind, and maybe this comes really down to one of the first things that we want to talk about when it comes to this podcast, right? Talking about some personal wins for 2021. One of the things that I really learned over the past year is how to create more value for my clients and how to help them stay in my world in a way that feels really great and positive for them. And so even now, while we get shut down again for an indefinite amount of time, even though I don't think it'll be that long, I'm confident that the second we open back up, the floodgates are going to open and all of our clients are going to come back, because that is the kind of business that we have built. So, frustrating to start with, but honestly, with every frustration, with every concern in your life, there's some kind of opportunity. I really do believe that there's no such thing as a problem without a gift, and that we need life's problems so that we can learn their gifts. So honestly, right now, couldn't feel better. Amazing, despite not being able to come to work and train with people.
There's only opportunity. And I think that's really kind of the most beautiful way to look at any situation, like what you're talking about, Glen, us being closed again for the 5th time and whatever it may be. So ultimately, it's interesting because when we first closed, we're looking back on 2020, 2021, every time the gym closes, personally, I struggled because I've invested so much time into building infrastructures and lead gen systems to draw people into the door. And then when we get shut and everyone says in Ontario that gyms are unsafe, you get rattled because you're like, are people going to show back up? Are people going to come? And it's nice because every time we reopen, we get busier. New people show up. Objectively, Glen, you talked about this in a previous episode. You went from almost no clients to a full-time schedule in a few months. And it's not because you didn't work hard and you didn't have great clients. It's because this climate just changes routines and relationships. And because of the hard work you've done and the things we've done here, and this is what you should be doing, everyone that's listening, is if you build an infrastructure that is clear with your messaging and is consistently working for you, and when you put energy in, it works even better. Gosh, I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. So Glen, tell me about 2021. What can you reflect on? And really quickly, Sandra Paccio says, hi. Hi,
hey, Sandra. I love Sandra. She's a wonderful woman. She put a very cruel joke on us during our MAT mentorship. She was toying with all of us young bucks at the time, but she's a very, very sweet woman. I like her a lot.
Sandra, you are a prankster if you're listening to this. So Glen, tell us about 2021, man. What was the wins for you?
So absolutely, we'll dive into some of this stuff. Maybe we'll go back and forth because I got a couple here, but the first one I actually had was the how much my business exploded once we opened back up. So I had to go back through the calendar, take a look at some timelines here. And I think not late July, I think it was mid to late August that gyms opened back up again. We were allowed to start working with our clients one-to-one in person. And up to that point, I had maybe 4 or 5 hours of some online people I was working with. And then I had A couple people, I was doing some FPM stuff. So make maybe 6 or 7 billable hours per week, not a ton, to be honest with you. And then once we opened back up, through your help and your guidance, the hard work I put in, all that kind of stuff, my schedule got to a place where by mid-November, end of November, I was doing 21 PT hours a week, which is fantastic. That's full time for most personal trainers, plus an additional 3 to 4 hours of FPM clients and working with our FPM students, up to like essentially full-time schedule. I'd like to be a bit busier still, but still a pretty full-time schedule. And for me, that's a huge win. Most people starting at a gym are going to have a really hard time building up their business, but I think it's a testament to the kind of stuff that we've been preaching about and telling people they should do at FPM, that we embody ourselves, how quickly I got busy. And it's not like I was the only person that was trying to get busier. We had other leads and other people coming in that you ended up getting some new clients. Taylor ended up getting some new clients. Other people got busy as well. And so everyone at Strata actually increased the amount of people they were working with. So for me, that was a huge win. And the thing that made that possible, more than anything, was consistency. And this is something that we talk about in the mentorship with our students. This is something that we tell everybody all the time, which is you got to be consistent. Whatever you're going to do it consistently. Some of the best practices that we have is you find the amount of time that you can do every day digestibly to commit to doing your marketing. That includes creating posts, talking to people on social media and Facebook, doing your one-to-one stuff, going out and talking to humans if you can do that, and it's not going to ruffle any feathers, all that kind of stuff. You just set aside a little bit of time every day, whatever that is that you can do, and you just treat it like you would a client appointment, meaning you don't miss it. You do it for that entire time. You stay with it. And it's that kind of consistency, those kind of building blocks that I think allowed me to go from essentially earning, maybe if I was lucky, $1,000 in a month, $1,500 a month, to having my highest month ever at the end of November, which was $8,000, right? So this was a huge jump, right? And for anyone listening, I mean, the stuff that we tell people to do in this podcast week in and week out, the stuff we tell our students to do week in and week out, we're doing it ourselves, and it does absolutely work. So for me, that was a huge win, was going from no one-on-one in-person clients to almost all one-on-one in-person clients and some FPM clients, and having what would be like my highest month of all time. Unfortunately, we're in a different spot right now, but I have no concerns about bouncing back from that, Brandon. So that was my number one win from this year. I'd love to hear from you, as someone in a leadership position here, what your biggest win was. I think that's kind of the beauty of doing the podcast like this right now, is people get to hear someone like myself who works, as your colleague with you, for Strata, absolutely, for myself, but for Strata in the personal training role. And now, they also get to hear from you, someone who is in a leadership position, who owns and runs multiple businesses, what his successes were and what's been going on in his world.
Yeah, I'm happy to share. And very quickly, 2 quick things I want to just throw out there really quickly. If you're listening right now and you're watching live, please say hi and let us know your 2022 goals, because honestly, Glenn and I want to hear them. We'll share them. And if we've got any insight that we can help to help you out, we'd love to do that. And Glenn, I absolutely love your consistency thing. I mean, anybody that's listening to this, very quickly, Glenn went from making not very much money in a month to a position where he's pretty much geared right up to be nudging with $100,000 a year, $8,000 a month. And that comes from having the right systems, consistency in place. And I think that's something that I can kind of reflect back on, is that a lot of our students, I know, will start putting new efforts in and start working on new things, and their messaging is getting out there. But I think that when someone dives into social media land, they dive into marketing, advertising, and messaging, people expect an instant ROI. And we do have money now strategies that I'll tell you, anyone in our program, if you join in, I'll tell you exactly how to get more clients right away. But it'll be the steam train of energy you build up over time and the inertia of your messaging that is consistent and 100% speaking to active seekers that will 100% bring you $100,000 a year faster. And you even heard Glenn. I mean, our mentorship is 12 weeks long. He's facilitating the mentorship, and he went from low to $100,000 a year really, really fast. So anyone listening to this, Glenn's amazing, but you can do that too. And I can do that too. And so reflecting on 2021, listen, I mean, some framing, and Glenn, you asked some great questions when you interviewed me. If anyone wants to listen to that, please check out back. You can find Brandon's interview. I really struggle with these closures because I'm happy to fail. I'm happy to have something not go the right direction and something to kick my butt and me to go, okay, this business didn't work. I claimed bankruptcy, but what can I learn from here? What opportunity is there? And when there are these forced closures upon us and, our finances change, our clients change, our routines change instantly because of an Ontario position rather than an actual thing that went wrong that I did, I get really frustrated and bummed. And the things that sucks because I have three personal goals in my life, and one is in the forefront right away, and then everything else is years away. And the next step is for me and my family to move into a family home. And anything that takes away the money that I've built towards that really frustrates me. The other thing is that in the leadership role, I'm constantly thinking about Glen and Taylor and Chris and Eric and Oksana and other people that work here because at Strata Internal Performance, because part of the reason I opened this place was to not only help my clients, but to help trainers have an opportunity to grow their world. So for me in 2021, rebranding Strata Biomechanics to Fitness Pro Mentors, putting all my energy into formulating a formal business mentorship to help trainers grow and scale their business, launching that initial offer, having a relatively successful year for a brand new education company, growing our Facebook group for this company from 35 people to over 400, creating new jobs for you and Taylor, and then seeing people internationally from Sweden to the UK to the US to Canada to even somebody we're influencing in India to go from where they are and double their business, hit 10 and 15K months, open gyms. One of our clients tripled their clients with a 98% retention rate, $100,000 years. That was really, really a big win for me because as much as I want Fitness Pro Mentors to be a successful business entity and to help me with my life and transition my role in the next coming future, more importantly, I hope it creates an opportunity for more people like you, Glenn, and anyone who's listening here to grow your business to where you want it to be. Because whoever's listening to this, if you're listening to this still at this point live or you're listening into the future, you're amazing. You are someone who's committed to your business, hence why you're listening to this podcast. And if you're listening to this, you have the opportunity to make as much money as you want. The truth is, and I said this in my Instagram story today, and Glenn just said it now, it comes down to consistency. Most people who will fail to hit the financial markers that they want to hit fail to implement. And that's what I've tried to exhibit through working hard and creating, just showcasing by doing the work, that Fitness Pro Mentors, an entirely new company and new business and new process, if you put the work in, can make a change, can be successful. But you have to put the time in. And so, that's really the big thing, Glenn, and I appreciate you asking, really is seeing all of this turn into new jobs, new opportunities, and helping people internationally, which us really helping people move and exercise pain-free all over the world is truly the most powerful thing and inspirational thing to keep me pushing and moving forward.
Yeah, and it's funny because this is similar but different, kind of in the same vein. Another huge personal win of mine, and I think it just goes really in tandem with what you just said, is feeling like now I'm a part of a community, and a community like I really, really love. I love the people and the students. I'm just calling them people. They're not even students. My colleagues. I'm just call them my colleagues. My colleagues in the Fitness Pro Mentors mentorship. The 30 odd plus people that we have right now in our Facebook group, sharing information, sharing wins, sharing best practices, coming together to help each other. I mean, there were guys and gals who were in our FPM mentorship, but then were doing their own side conversations and having their own separate study groups and talking about how to make business work for them because they met through the program and they had like other consistent language and vernacular and goals that were in line with each other. And so even just now, I got off a call with Keith Shimon for 45 minutes right before this. Keith is an absolute juggernaut. He's got a great podcast called the Biz Body Podcast. Brandon's interviewed him for the Fitness Pro Mentors podcast channel. I mean, there are so many different people that have come together, and it's just been glorious. And the amount of, and I can't say this enough, the amount of new ideas and the amount of energy that you can get when you speak and talk to other people that are going the same direction as you and learn from their mistakes and come together and collaborate is absolutely huge. So, the second huge personal win for myself, even though I wouldn't even know really how to quantify it or anything like that, but I can certainly qualify, would be just feeling really blessed and grateful that I get to be a part of the FPM community. that I get to be a part of the Strata team and that community, and like to be a part of like the community that is my family. All these different communities and groups that I'm a part of, that I'm a big fan of being a part of. And I just love it. Like there's not a moment where we have an FPM meeting on Wednesdays where I'm not like, I don't want to go to that today. I'm always excited for them. Or when we get together and we do podcasts like this, or when we get to do the weekly mentorship call. I mean, everything, I'm just so excited to do it all the time. And it really shows the power of community is huge, which is why, spoiler, which is why we're so big on talking about people having a Facebook group. Your Facebook group that you have for your community, your local community of people that may work with you in the future or are your current clients, so you can continue to help and grow and answer their questions. It's an amazing tool for so many different reasons that really requires, minimal amount of time to upkeep during the week. We really don't spend a ton of time managing our Facebook group, but there's so many people that get tremendous value out of it, out of being a part of that community, myself and you included, that it's almost a no-brainer. So, another huge win for me, kind of piggybacking off what you said, is like just the power of being a part of a community and a part of a team that's going the same direction, that can help you grow, that you can help grow as well. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, this quote, this cheesy African proverb, but alone we go fast, together we go far. And I'm really happy for this because there are a lot of brilliant people, as you've seen through the podcast interviewing that I've done and Glenn and I have done, who are a part of our world, educators and influencers that are really in this brilliant exercise science land. But what we're trying to do is we're taking this science-based community and having some business acumen to go with it, and have both of those ships running parallel so you can be the brilliant exercise scientist you want to be, so to speak, that role, and then have the business that you want so you can continue to do this for years. And so, Glenn, I'm honored to have you be a part of this community, and I'm excited to have everyone be a part of this community, because it's nice to see that this has turned into a community, which is absolutely brilliant. Which turns into something that I'm excited about from 2021 that I'm going to be doubling down on for 2022. And I want to exemplify that this is how I grew Strata Internal Performance's initial lead gen systems. It's what I'm teaching everyone in the student program, our mentorship, and our leadership program to do. And I did it again with Fitness Pro Mentors. And I'm hoping anyone that knows me and us well enough, Glenn, will see this. And if anyone here, you're trying to get more clients, there are two things you need to do over and over and over and flipping over again to get more people in front of you. Just two things to help grow your audience. One is social proof, clear evidence of results that you provide to people. And then the second is, I would say, expert status by standing on the shoulders of giants. Your social proof, and this is something, stratainternalperformance.com. You can see a bunch of videos there. Glenn just filmed one with a client named Tim. We got a bunch of great people who've come into Strata and were struggling with aches and pains. They didn't like how their body felt. And we recorded full video documentaries that are like a minute too long, even longer, testimonial videos that showcase the actual results that they got using their words, and they describe their process. Listen, if you know about post-activation potentiation, and Charlie McMillan did a thing on manual muscle testing, all that stuff, that's fantastic. You should never use those words in your marketing with your business. Really, you should just never use them. They don't matter. And I've made this mistake. Glenn's made this mistake. We've all made this mistake because we are excited about the science. Glenn, you're talking about going and doing the RTS Mastery program at one time. And what ends up happening, you get inundated with all this amazing science information. Those words, resistance profile, magnitude profile, should not show up in your marketing, advertising, and sales copy. It will just cripple you. What's more important is when you use an amazing resistance profile and it matches up with your client strength curve and caters to their individual pains and their status that day, and you record a video and they say, Glenn gave me some stretches that never have made me feel so good, and the pains have never come back. They even said stretches, which are words that you don't say, but it doesn't matter. People hear those words and they relate. So that's one thing that we've done a ton of, and that's what I've done to grow FPM with the social proof, is we're consistently using text message images of real results and stories and interviews of the students. Because if you want to hear about how Sam Trotta got 14 clients in 14 days, if you want to hear about how Ari got, I think, 14 clients in 14 days, one of our other clients, 10 to 15K months, Ahmed went from being not confident and broke all the way to this extremely confident person making more money than ever had before. Norley opened his own gym. Let me know and check it out, because I've got the social proof to showcase that what we do works. And then the second, which is what helped this group grow in 1 year, nearly 10 times that of how many people were in it initially, 11 times, is standing on the shoulders of giants. And that's where we've started interviewing experts, people like Cassim Hansen, Charlie McMillan, Tom Purvis, and these people that have their own pools of power and influence because they've done the work. They've already built up an incredible trust factor with their audience. And when they are interviewed by me and they say, hey, you should check out this podcast and this platform, it builds instant trust and reputation, which has helped this business grow. If you want more clients and you don't have any social proof that you can call on, or you haven't done anything to get in front of community leaders or partner with community leaders in your town, like chiropractors, physical therapists, yoga instructors, you're missing out, because those two things alone built my personal client base at Strata. It's built our reputation. So Glen can get referrals, hot leads in here, as well as building his own clients from the work that he's done with FPM and his own work. And we grew FPM that way. And so reflecting on 2021, I built an entirely new business just doing those two things, amongst a few other things. And you can too. And so anyway, Glen, I hope you don't mind me bringing up your RTS mastery venture and all that stuff. But at the end of the day,
that's okay.
There's amazing opportunity by just doing those two things.
Absolutely. I really love what we said about the communication piece there, not to jump back too far previous to what we're talking about now. But I'm always telling people in the program, if you're writing a piece of copy, or if you're trying to communicate something to a client, or you're doing a video, you're trying to explain a concept to somebody, you got to think about it. If a 15-year-old's not going to understand what you're saying, or a 75-year-old's not going to understand what you're saying, you've got to figure out a different way to tell it. You really got to be putting yourself in their shoes, because nobody understands the science. And it's tough, but the second you start using vernacular that people don't understand, they're out. They are out. And if you're going to do a 10-minute video and you're going to even use one or two pieces that people don't understand, and those are key concepts, and you're not going to be able to build on top of it from there, because those are important pieces, you're going to lose them. So please really try to make that copy, really try to make whatever you're saying as simple as possible, using great analogies, metaphors, stories. Storytelling is huge.
And their words, the words they're going to say, because that's the thing. All those stories and analogies are absolutely true, but what words are they typing into Google to find you? And they're definitely not typing post-activation potentiation. They're definitely not typing biomechanics specialist. They're definitely looking up pain management, stretches to relieve my back. And maybe those aren't words that resonate with you, but yeah, no, absolutely, Glenn. I love that point. It's huge.
100%, Brandon, 100%. So it sounds like we're moving on to things we're looking forward to doing in 2022 and opportunities that we're seeing. Is that right? Am I got that correct?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what are you excited about for next year?
So I'm going to speak more on the personal end of this. And this is something that's come up with a couple different people who have been coming through the mentorship. And it's something that I think a lot of people have to be constantly reevaluating. That's managing your time. And for me, time management is not something that comes easily. This year, I'm always open to being honest with people. In the past year, I got diagnosed with ADD, attention deficit disorder. And so what that essentially means is that it can be challenging for me to stay focused on a single task, and as a result, manage my time. Something comes up, I jump to that. I start working on that. Something else comes up, I jump to that. And as a result, things don't end up getting done. So for me, something I started working on in 2021 and I'm carrying over to 2022 is managing my time. And at the end of the day, everybody, your most precious resource is not going to be your money. It's going to be your time. You've got a finite amount of time on planet Earth here, and you have to utilize it as wise as possible. And so getting a real good stranglehold on your time and how you're using it and constantly reevaluating is going to be absolutely key. For me this year, what that looks like is really looking at what are going to be the highest return on investment activities I can do, and focusing more on those, and then starting to focus less on lower return on investment activities and managing my schedule. And let me tell you, everyone's going to be a little bit different here, because we all have different priorities. We all have different responsibilities, all that kind of stuff. Brandon's got a lovely wife. He's got 2 kids. He's got multiple businesses he's running. I have a dog, a lovely wife, and right now only one business I'm running. So how we manage our time and our priorities are going to be different. But I do want to say this to everybody in terms of some practical stuff here, is that I think there are a few key ways that a lot of people can recapture their time and also keep more clients in their schedule and build their business. And the 2 things I'm going to say that are at least coming up for me that I want to share to everybody are going to be these 2 things. One is your clients are going to treat you however you teach them to treat you. If you're consistently giving them extra unfree paid time, they're going to come to expect that as a part of your service. If you're constantly allowing them to reschedule on you and change whenever they want to without any charge fees or repercussions, they're going to come to expect that, and that's going to be okay. And let me tell you something. If you're one of those people that is letting clients do that to you all the time for whatever reason, you're going to find yourself constantly on the back foot, constantly trying to placate to other people's schedules instead of working with the life that you want to live and leading a powerful life that you love. And so the first thing that I'm going to share with people here, because this has come up with some different people in our program, is you want to find ways to start having your clients treat you the way that you want to be treated. And they don't have to be heavy conversations. They don't have to be difficult. If someone is constantly rescheduling on you, you can look at it as simple as, hey, Janet, I've been noticing that recently you and I have been having a hard time nailing down a time for us to work together and have a consistent personal training sessions together at consistent times. That came a little funny, but you know what I'm saying. We're having a hard time getting you in here and me meeting your schedule and trying to figure out how we can help you the best of the ability. And my concern is that I'm just not going to be able to help you get to where you want to go. Is it possible for you and I to reevaluate when we're meeting and find a consistent time that you can make it to, that I can make it to, so we can always make sure you're feeling your best and moving forward, right? I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't do a great job delivering that, but I think you can see the point I'm trying to make here, which is it doesn't have to be heavy. It just has to be very light, like, hey, I want to make sure you get the most out of this. Let's find a time that's going to work well for both of us, and then figure out what that is and put it in there. And you have that conversation with all of your clients. You have them all in regular time slots. You see them every week. That kind of heaviness of that scheduling, that kind of goes away, and it frees up more of your time. The second thing, and this is really, really huge, is your personal integrity with your time and your schedule. If you've got to do something and you schedule it in there, do it. Don't let yourself get frustrated, or don't let yourself do something else you'd rather do because the task in front of you is boring or it intimidates you or it causes you some fear. The CEO avatar of yourself is the person that you want to be in 3 years from now. And we always talk about this in our program. Know where you want to be a couple of years from now, how much money you want to make, and reverse engineer the behaviors and the things you have to do to get there. And I'll tell you, every high achieving successful person I know, like Brandon, other personal trainers that are making over $150,000 a year, they are taking a look at where they want to go and then reverse engineering backwards. They're not letting people consistently reschedule on them. They're not letting life take them off course. They're not letting their fears or frustrations stop them from taking the actions they need to move forward their career. It's not always as easy said as done, but it's something you got to be focusing on. So number one, know where you want to go in 2 years from now, start reverse engineering those behaviors. And number two, make sure that you're teaching your clients how you want them to interact with you and respect your time. And it doesn't have to be heavy, and it doesn't have to be bringing the hammer down. It can be a nice conversation about, hey, I want to help you. How do we get there together? And that's all I'm going to say, because I know I went off on a little bit of rant there, but I'm just very passionate about these two things right now.
I love it. I mean, I'm a gigantic proponent of reverse engineering where you want to be. Honestly, every decision I make is because of that exact same thing. And so I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's super powerful.
And Brandon, I'd love to hear from you. You had a bang in 2021 despite these on and off lockdowns, grown some crazy, beautiful businesses. Strata's doing amazing. FPM's doing amazing. What are you looking forward to creating in 2022?
Yeah. I have a pretty simple philosophy, is that I have specific targets that I try to get things, specific places, and I look at each part of my business and each business as an individual planet, which anybody in the mentorship will have heard me talk about. And I like that idea because if you think of like the planet Earth, there are so many different systems happening concurrently that are individual things that you could focus on, but the emergence of planet Earth with all these things working together is what creates it a planet. And so when you think of Strata, our gym, we have a specific location with specific people, with a specific client avatar and specific systems that draw people in, and then a specific sales system, and all those things come together to create the packaging of what people see from the outside. And when something gets to that planet status, I like to try to get it I like to try to delegate as many different things within that business so I can focus on the next part of the growth of that things, because one of my superpowers is being able to create and see where bigger picture components of a thing and make that happen, which I believe, I don't like saying this because it sounds hubristic, but I believe it's evidence of that with where FPM and what has happened over the last year. So with I have three different goals I'll say that I have. Financially, I do have a financial goal that I'm aiming towards, and it's not really because I just want it to be a big amount of money. It's that my big focus, and if you know this, but Ontario 2022, the inflation of houses and in our world, things are getting very expensive. And so my main personal goal is to be able to afford a detached home in my town that's big enough for my family to grow in and stay there for several decades. And any financial decisions I'm making are 100% based off of that. So that way we can live and grow. And we are in a decent spot for that, but open closes, not super fun. Within Strata, once we get the thumbs up to start growing and marketing more, ultimately, I want everybody in here who wants to be full-time to be as busy as possible. We saw, you guys are hearing, Glen grew his client schedule very quickly in a few months. I've got two other awesome people that I'm lined up to help them get equally as busy, and that'll make us pretty busy and full-time in here, where there won't be that much more floor space. So we'll have to talk about what we're going to do there, but I'm excited about that. FPM is my main primary business focus because I've got a couple things I'd like to do with that. What I want to do is I want to get our lead generation systems 100% nailed in to figure out what's going to help us get the most client acquisition for that program, so trainers like you can get busy but feel comfortable and love our offer. Part of that with that growth is I'm doing a couple different things. Right now, I'm working on a new website for the business, which will be a new course database for all of our active students that will have all of our content much more organized. Along with that, as you can tell, we've got a lot of great friends and a lot of great exercise educator friends from all over the world. And many of them have original education content. So what I'm hoping to do is make connections with some of these people and create some exclusive trainings by them, which we already have one. I won't say who. We've already got one that will be coming along for our back end, and there'll be hopefully several more, giving our course content a bump up, creating an incredible consortia of educators that help to give our students introduction to thought process they may not have heard before, and give them an opportunity to access other people's programs, and just basically make our community of mentors, if you will, even larger and bigger. I do also want to start delegating some of my mentorship tasks as things start to grow a bit, so that way I can focus more on our leadership program, because I really want our gym people who transition to being gym owners to be able to blow things up and grow. Ultimately, if I take all of that down and I bring it down to one thing, I can talk about the mechanics of business and put numbers on it and things like that. I'm trying to do one thing, and I'm trying to make an impact. And I'm going to really focus in our professional world, both within Strata and FPM, to make an impact as big as I possibly can for the people in front of us, so they can benefit from that, so they can get better results and feel better in their bodies, and trainers can help more people make more money and eventually retire one day. So long answer, but I thought about it a lot. And honestly, it's funny to me, that is not a New Year's resolution goal. That's always been the goal. But it's just nice to reflect at January 1st to the beginning of the month to go, what am I going to do in this calendar year? But that's the macro goal.
No, I absolutely love it, and I think that I think everybody, whether they want to admit it or not, does have this sense of refreshment when the new year comes around, right? That from like December 26th to January 1st, it's usually a quiet downtime. Excuse me, for pretty much every business. A lot of businesses I know still take that time off, and it's kind of hard not to think about, what is the new year going to bring. And so I love hitting that little refresh button, even though technically we're pretty much hitting the refresh button every morning when we wake up. I'm right there with you. And it's interesting because I think depending on where people are at in their careers, there's really times to focus on yourself and building yourself up, and then there's times to focus on building up other people. And Brandon's, I think, in my personal opinion, in an amazing space where he spent the better part of the first decade and a bit working on building himself and building up his business, getting his knowledge base up so that he can help all the clients that he has to the best of his ability. And now, Brandon, you're in a space where, despite being so young, you can help so many more people because you've built up all these other skills that allow you to do that. I'm in a bit of a different spot where I didn't really start taking my career as seriously as you did, as early as you did. And despite being older than you, I am still, I mean, I don't want to ever use the term behind, but I'm in a different spot than you, where I'm still focusing on myself and growing myself before spending way too much time trying to grow something that's way bigger than myself. And that's why I'm happy to be along as a mentor and a coach and Fitness Pro Mentors to help run the Facebook group, because this is where I'm at in my career right now. And so, to talk about a little bit more about what I'm excited to be creating this year, it's kind of along very similar lines, but kind of different. I mean, this is kind of a little bit more of a personal thing, which is when I was examining and looking at my how I use my time, I noticed this trend, and that was that I play video games multiple times a week. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs to kick back and do something a little bit different and deload a little bit, do stuff that makes them happy. But I kind of did nod and I thought to myself, what do video games really do for me? Like, what am I, is there having any other benefit other than I had to shut my brain off for a couple hours? And often they don't really, not even often, they don't really have another positive benefit. And quite frankly, sometimes, I mean, you interact with the people that are in your environment. If there's people who are, let's say, toxic in your environment, that can have an effect on your mental health and how you feel. And in video game world, like many other different online platforms, there are people where, because they're faceless and they're nameless, they're anonymous, they just say stuff to be inflammatory, or they get upset and they take it out on you. And I felt, myself leaving a night of video games from like 6 to 9 p.m., just feeling frustrated and upset because people were being less than amicable online. Let's put it that way. And so one of the things I've committed to this year is playing less video games. I thought to myself, well, how am I going to fill that space? And I actually took a page out of Brandon's book, which is get engaged in a different kind of creative pursuit, right? Huge thing. And so what I've actually done, I started a YouTube channel just about movies, because I love watching movies. They're a huge passion of mine. I worked at a movie theater for many years growing up. I love going to the theaters. Before the lockdown hit, actually, I was averaging about 2 movies per month in the theaters. I really just love doing it, talking about movies with people. One of the first podcasts that I ever did with a colleague of ours, Sam Trotta, amazing RTS trainer and coach here, also in our program as well as an FPM student. Him and I talked about movies and exercise. And so instead of spending 6 to 8 hours a week playing video games, I've now uninstalled them off my computer, and I spend those 2 evenings a week, sometimes, in my Saturday mornings, doing YouTube stuff, creating more YouTube content, creating movie content, other pursuits which make me happy. I feel productive. I enjoy doing it. I get to continue honing some of my skills like editing, communicating, sharing stuff. So it's going to benefit me in my world of exercise and personal training, but it's just a separate pursuit that I can do that is extremely low pressure, because it's just something I kind of do for fun. And if in the future I can make money off it, that's wonderful. But for right now, it's just something I get to do for fun on my own time that's kind of productive, but also takes the place of doing something that was kind of making me feel bad and crappy by the end of doing it. And so one of my other goals for this year is to, get more people viewing my YouTube channel and to create more awesome content and just to enjoy that process and seeing what I can learn. And so far, it's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. I'm having a great time with it. And I just feel overall better because I'm not, let's say, draining my energy and putting into things that are non-productive. And again, I just want to reiterate this. There's nothing wrong with playing video games. There's nothing wrong with doing anything that allows you to relax and is an own personal pastime of yours that you really, really enjoy. I'm just speaking for me, particularly evaluating my time and evaluating the things that make me feel good versus not good, and then replacing something that I kind of enjoyed but didn't leave me feeling too great sometimes with something that I always enjoy and always makes me feel great and has a positive impact on other areas of my life. I mean, that's a huge win. And so for me, another opportunity that I see for myself in 2022 is working towards continuing to produce some fun YouTube content. And then who knows, maybe bringing that to FPM, being like, if you want to create a YouTube channel and this is something you want to have traction for, maybe I can do a back end for that. I don't know, but for right now, it's a lot of fun and I'm enjoying the process.
You're definitely going to do that.
I think so.
Definitely going to do that. The thing that you're saying that I love is skills, right? I think you should invest time and money into skill development always. Because at the end of the day, if you learn a new skill, no government, no person, no divorce, no kids, no anything can ever take that away from you. And those skills absolutely do transfer to other things. And so, God forbid, if all of a sudden everything in your world is gone and you have to start all over again, but you've mastered video editing skills, communication skills, creating an online community skills, you could absolutely go all in on something and sell those skills as a package, as a marketing thing, or develop a whole new product. And so, Glenn, I mean, I love that, but anyone listening to this, invest into new skills. What are the
Mhm.
things that you see other people doing that you can't do, that if you could do, you would doing better? Because you don't need to hire. And this is what I do. I have a mentor. I have different mentors I hire each year for different things. And I will say this, that I'm at a point originally, those first 10 years that Glenn spoke about with timeline stuff. And I'll say this, there's this analogy that a drum teacher once told me. And I remember telling him, hey, you are on another level. I'll never be able to play with you. He goes, listen, the only difference between you and me is if we've got a timeline, I have put this many hours in on the drums and you've put this many hours on the drums. And you have this and this and this, which limits your time and you won't be able to put this much time in. It's not that I'm that much better at you, it's that I've put more time into this particular thing and you have other skills. From Tom Purvis's to many other people, I've had mentors who I would say I look up to in all ways when I was younger, that they are
Mhm.
experts on all sorts of things. But now I'm at a place, not that I think I'm amazing at a lot of things, but I'm good enough at a few things that I need to invest my energy into more specialized skills. So if I can get better at lead generation, even get better at that. I'm studying a bunch of new sales stuff. So if I can get way better at sales, way better at lead generation, that gives me a skill that I can translate to making more money and helping more people and grow my business more. What Glenn is saying and what you can do, invest into systems and skills that you can apply moving forward. I have grown everything in front of me because of people that I've looked up to, and I learned 1, 2, 5 things that helped me grow and scale with a skill. And I said this to my wife the other day. I was a bit pissed because things were closed. And I said, God forbid, if everything shut down and I had to leave this industry, I have enough talent and skill now. I know I could create something elsewhere and we could be successful. And that was
Mhm.
kind of like, I sat there, I was like, hey, well, that's a negative thing. But at the same time, it's kind of cool to think, I know I could build something all over again. And the reason why is not because I'm great. It's because I've invested the time for those skills. Glenn has invested the time into those skills, and you can too. I think that that's brilliant, Glenn. So very, very cool stuff. I like that you're getting away from the games and getting into more skill, fun stuff.
Well, and you said something that I really, really loved, and I think this is an excellent barometer. If you're the kind of person where you're like Brandon, where you have invested the time and energy to learn how marketing works and how to create a business from scratch, you can upend your life and go anywhere and be successful in personal training. And here's a fact of the world that a lot of people who I will say lean on being a victim to their circumstances, regardless of what they are, is that we're in a time and place where the internet is filled with information. And you can just go on YouTube and learn everything you'd ever need to know about marketing. You go on YouTube and learn everything you ever needed to know about pretty much anything. You can go to Udemy and learn courses. You can go to Masterclass, right? Masterclass is an actual corporation which they have world class actors, directors, filmmakers, business people sharing all sorts of information. All the information in the world is at your fingertips right now. And if you want to make $100,000 a year, you can do that. Anyone can do that. Anyone, and I do mean that. Anyone can do that. There's 15-year-olds for heck's sake who make millions of dollars a year because they learned how to use Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or whatever that is. And as long as you're just willing to put the time in and be consistent, you can create $100,000 plus a year business. Everybody can do that. Are we all going to be Elon Musk's? No. Are we all going to be Bill Gates? No. Can we all make $100,000 a year and live comfortable, happy lives? Absolutely. It has never been a better time to be alive. And I honestly believe that.
Love it, Glenn. Hey, I'm feeling pretty good about this conversation. How are you feeling about it?
I'm good, man. We talked about so much. I didn't even get half the stuff I wrote down here. But I'm happy, man. I don't even know if we could overload people's brains with much more.
Hey, Glenn, but what we could overload them with is, what is your pick of the week?
My pick of the week is going to be your at-home setup for whatever content that you're creating. You can't see it right now, but over the past year with Brandon's tutelage, I've slowly amassed my own little home office here. I absolutely love it. I got lights in the background. I've got a stream deck right here in front of me. I've got, whoops, Brandon, I lost you. Are you
I was
oh,
trying
you
to
just,
showcase your background.
could you put it back up again? I've got a stream deck here, which I can use to switch between views. As you can see right here, I got a ton of different stuff. I got sound effects I can do. I got so much different stuff here, and I love having this set up at home. And the reason I love having this set up at home is because I can create content from my fingertips at a moment's notice. This is how we do all of our strata lives for our Facebook group. This is how I create my YouTube content. This is how Brandon and I are able to have this amazing setup right now, because I invested the time and energy to learn how to do all this. And you don't have to invest a lot of money to do all this kind of stuff. I have a fairly modest setup here, and it cost me a couple $1,000s, but honestly, you have your phone, you've got a stand, there are programs and software that you can use to connect that. You spend a couple $100s on lights and you are good to go with a pretty professional setup, and no one would know any different. I can't say it enough. Investing in an awesome home setup for your office, for all your content creation needs, for your marketing, makes you feel at home, gives you no excuse not to create the stuff that you want. I absolutely love it. And I got to say, Brandon, without your tutelage and you helping me, this wouldn't have been possible. So thank you so much for doing what you do for FPM. And for me, my pick of the week is an awesome home setup.
Glenn, I'm happy that it's been helpful. And I will say that the investment that you see with Glenn, and I did a story on this. If you even actually, can I do this? If you look at my little crazy setup here, you see there's a lot of technology here. I will say this is that you're not investing in tech, you're investing in speed. That's what the investment really is. And I know I've had people come and see my office. I have 2 computers in front of me. I have a third one over there. I have a lot of technology, and the entire FPM business is online. So that's an easy expense for that. But you're investing in speed. And I think that's the most important thing. Pay for mentors so you can go faster. You can find information online, like Glenn is saying, but mentors will tell you the information faster in convenient timing, and you can have that accountability to make it happen. Invest in your technology and your infrastructure, because if you have a better camera, you've got better stuff, it makes the experience of your product better. And that turns into my pick of the week, which is learning skills. I already said this. It's extremely simple, but if you don't know, first and foremost, if you don't know what you need to be, if you're not where you want to be, and procrastination is not a problem, which in most cases it is the primary driver, but you're not a procrastinator and you still feel like you're putting energy in and you're not getting where you want to get, ask me or Glenn or someone, hey, what do you think I could be doing better in my business to grow? And if it's marketing, if it's sales, if it's communication, if it's presence, if it's traits, do you have beliefs in how you view yourself and your business that you need to get over so you can move forward with that? I believe I only work with this group of people. I believe I help everyone. My quote tattooed on my arm is, it is historical continuity that maintains most assumptions, not a repeated assessment of their validity. You're going to continue to believe what you've always believed unless you challenge yourself. So you need to figure out, if you're not where you want to be, what skills do you need to focus on now? What traits do you need to focus on embodying now? What beliefs do you need to get past or start to embody now to really be where you want to be? We want to help you with that. Honestly, so many of our students have 2 to 3x their personal training practice, and you absolutely can too. And that's why I love Fitness Pro Mentors and the Minds on Muscle Show, because this is your MBA towards your personal training career. Glenn and I are committed to helping you be as busy as possible. So how about that, Glenn?
I love it. I couldn't have said anything better. I'm going to play a little sound that shows my appreciation for what you just said. And I just love this conversation, but I'm happy that you and I can still do the podcast, even remotely like this, when one of us can't make it in. I just love doing this, man. And I look forward to a beautiful 2022 with you and for more decades to come.
Everyone, Glenn and I, Fitness Pro Mentors with the Minds on Muscle Show. If you like this information, you found it valuable, please give us a little star rating. Find us on Spotify, everywhere podcasts are. And please comment below when you watch this, because we'd love to know what we can help you with in the future. Everyone, Happy New Year. Happy 2022. And don't forget, make it rain.
Crush it, everybody.
Bye.